Hey, it's Mark with Mark's Virtual Real Estate Channel, and we're back in Upland with another video. Detroit was released, a new city here last week, and the dust is kind of settling. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, and why my net worth is actually going down after that release. And it's not a bad thing, but I'm going to tell you why that has happened. And then if we've sold any properties that we minted, and what other properties I'm buying too, because I'm just a sucker for buying new properties all the time. All right. Of course, we love the likes, comments, shares. Keep those coming. If you aren't familiar with Upland, it's a virtual real estate kind of game/investment where you can invest real money into it, make a yield, flip properties, build properties, and it's a ton of fun. And I'm also a real-life real estate person too, which makes it fun for me as well. I do flips, rentals, have commercial property, residential properties. I own some small businesses as well. And you can see all that on my Invest for More YouTube channel or Invest for More blog as well. Okay, so this is Detroit right here, and real quickly, just wanted to update you on what is happening here. So I minted a bunch of properties on Grashot. I believe that's how you say it. That's the cool thing about doing these videos is I can just make a video, completely randomly guess how to pronounce things, and people correct me and help me out. So thank you for that. I was calling it Gradiot for a long time because I have no idea how to pronounce that. But someone says Grashot or Grashot, a weird combination of French and other languages. So I minted quite a few properties up along this area, thinking this street would be desirable. And we got quite a few named properties, including a gas station, a grocery store, shopping centers, a nursing home, which also can sometimes add value as well. So we put most of these up for sale. Some, $38,000. I think that's my cheapest one, but we minted that for $6,700. So that should be a pretty good profit if we sell that. And we haven't sold a lot of these, but I'm going to show you right here. I did sell one for $49,000 last night, and we've sold quite a few other properties in Detroit as well. But most of them were not high dollar properties. A lot of them were in this area over here, which is Ferguson Street, my last name. So I randomly saw some cheap properties here and bought a bunch. I think I bought probably close to 20 properties in this neighborhood from $3,300 to $3,900 UPIX, and sold most of them for a $500 to $1,000 profit. So definitely made a pretty good profit there. And those cheap mint prices are not available anymore, and I'll show you that here in a second too. And then I did mint some more cheaper properties down here as well, and those haven't sold yet. I'm still waiting for that floor to kind of rise up, but I figure it's not a bad thing to have cheap minted properties. And then the other news is kind of cool, and why my net worth went down is I minted at the very beginning, and I showed how I minted these properties, the whole process, all the frustration, and what I like to call the circle of death on a video from last week. I minted this property right here, and ended up trading for a property for that one. So I think I was asking $179,000 for it. They are asking $4 million. That might be a bit aggressive, but I traded for a property for that one. I still have these right here, and we're asking $149, $152, and then $499, which might be a bit aggressive, but it's a theater and people love theaters. So we haven't sold any of those yet, but we did trade for that one, and I'll show you why I traded for that property here soon too. So the other thing that was slightly frustrating for me was I have been using upexland.me to find a lot of my properties and data on Detroit. And as you can see, they still don't have Detroit on here updated as a new city. You can search all kinds of cool stuff and see all the properties for sale, not minted, all that. So again, thank you to the commenters who helped me out, because they told me about Upland Optimizer, Upland Optimizer with a Z.com. And this site is pretty cool too, and they have Detroit. So you log in, they make sure that you're who you are, your account, which is kind of cool. So they have your specific information. As you can see here, you can see all my properties, what collections they're in, if I have buildings on them, kind of cool. And then you can go to data, and look at for sale properties, unminted properties, sales history, all kinds of cool stuff. And look, they have Detroit, so that was cool. But one cool thing, like we're just looking at Woodward Avenue. So how do you know what to price something on Woodward Avenue? How do you know what it's worth? That can be tricky, especially before a collection. But what you can do is if you go to this site, and it used to be the other site too, you can, let's see here, search for any properties with that address. And you see all of these are on Woodward Avenue. And you can see the cheapest one is $75,000. You can see what it was minted for, and you can see any other ones for sale here as well. And so this gives you an idea of what the floor is, the very, very bottom price. Now, if you want to get more specific, we can go here and see that my properties are in Brush Park. And if we want to try and figure out, let's see, we'll go to Brush Park, and now we can look at properties on Woodward in Brush Park and see what's there as well. And there's one for $75,000, which is actually a pretty good deal right now, because it's tiny. That's probably part of it. It's very, very small. But you can see mine are the cheapest in that area. There's the $4 million one, besides that $75,000 one. And you can add other neighborhoods kind of close by, and that gives you an idea of what the floor might be in that neighborhood for certain streets. But I'm going to be honest, a lot of it is kind of a guessing game and just hitting the right values and getting lucky sometimes. But we can also use this, and you take this off. We can put on here Gershow. Whoops. I think I spelled it wrong, didn't I? There we go. Oh, and you can see these are getting cheaper. So the cheapest ones I saw yesterday or the day before was 30, I think 30. And then that one sold, and mine was the cheapest one here at $33,900. And look at this, there's quite a few cheaper ones coming up. So that floor might actually be lowering. So maybe people are figuring out Gershow, whatever it is, is not quite as desirable as maybe I thought it was, or some other people thought it was. Like I said, I still sold the property on there, but that floor is pretty low, and that could be a famous street. So, and you can do the same thing with 8 Mile. And ooh, that's it. Oh no, is that the one that's okay? That's something else you have to watch for too, because I bought a property on 8 Mile. It was pretty cheap, and I just thought, hey, it was like under 50 or right about 50,000. But this property has been on there the whole time as well for 45, and it sold. It's not for sale right now. So you do have to double check sometimes if there's a really cheap one. Double check, make sure it's actually for sale. Sometimes that's not. There's errors on here. So I believe these are still for sale. So you can see the floor here. So if one does pop up for 40 or really cheap, maybe it's a good idea to jump on that, buy that, get a really good deal on stuff. That's kind of what I've been doing. So we can see I did that up here on a property on 8 Mile. Like I said, the floor was higher then, so maybe the floor will go back up. But it's a pretty big property. I paid $59,000 for it. And if we go back over here, let's see, hold on. It's $39,000, so it's not that huge. There's stuff way cheaper than that now. Oh, that's a big one, but they want a USD for it. USD, when you actually sell for dollars, usually cheaper than the UPX. So, I mean, it seemed like a really good deal at the time because there's nothing under 60, but the floors seem to be lowering a little bit. But we'll see what happens. If it gets named a collection, then prices usually jump up right away, and they'll come and fall back down again after a little bit. So that's kind of how I've been looking at some deals, and then something else I bought as well. There it is. There's a Detroit Golf Club. I've talked about it before. I like golf. I play golf. And so I bought a number of properties around golf courses that are on golf courses. And those have done really well for me. Even in LA, Berkeley, I've bought properties that were on golf courses, and they weren't in collections. There wasn't anything special about them. They still sold. We made a good profit on those just because I think other people like them on golf courses too. So the interesting thing about this is, let's see, what did I pay for it? $48,000, and that was the cheapest property I could find in this entire neighborhood too. But if we zoom out a little bit, it's a very, oh, what did I just do? Tiny neighborhood because it's got this big golf course and then just houses surrounding it with these lots. So you can kind of see, and speaking of, let's see, I've got 8 cents left. Okay, I'm good. I was just going to see if I need to pick up that cent while I'm right here. But then I can go up here to Upland Optimizer, put in, oh, not collections. What's going on? Oh, that's the problem. Okay. And put in the Detroit Golf Club. There it is. And then we can search and see 40 is the cheapest, 50. So when I bought that one for 48, it was by far the cheapest. You can see there's a cheap one for USD if you want to do that. But just how small the neighborhood was and being on a golf course, I thought that was a good move just to buy the cheapest one I could find at the moment. So we'll see if it turns out or not. But again, even if it doesn't become a collection, I feel like people, and that's a very famous golf course too. Lots of pros, that's their home course. So, and they play there. So that's a good thing if even in the future, having a property along there, since there's so few of them, I think will be a good investment, even if it doesn't become a collection. If it does become a collection, it could become one because it's so few properties and that's a pretty famous area. I could see that being worth a lot more. So that's kind of what I've been doing in Detroit. But why did my net worth decrease? So my net worth right now is 786, and it was 7.1, even a little higher after I was selling a bunch of these small properties, and then I dropped it down significantly. And one of those, and I'm okay with that, and I'll show you why, because one of the properties here that I traded out, this one, which I minted for 40,000, I think I had it for sale for 179. Well, I did a trade, and I traded that property for a property, get over here, in Los Angeles. And not just any property, but a property on Mulholland Drive, which is, you know, an exclusive, or the red collection, that rare collection. And so how I decide if I want to do that trade or not was basically, I think I went to the other one, but I can go here, go to Los Angeles, go to collections since they have their collections announced, go to Mulholland Drive, and search for the cheapest properties on Mulholland Drive. And you can see, yes, if you buy USD, you can get some cheaper ones here. The cheapest UPX is 185. I have that one for sale for 199. I was asking less than that for the property in Detroit. And like I said, my other ones haven't sold yet. So I thought that was a pretty great deal to be able to get a property worth, you know, probably at least 150,000 if I wanted to sell it bargain cheap, and trade it for that property in Detroit, which may be worth 150, maybe worth 300, or maybe worth 40, right? If there's no collection announced. And it dropped my net worth a bunch because the mint price on it was still 10,000. So your net worth is, you know, based on the last sale of the property, whether it was minted, whether it was sold. And this person who traded me this property he didn't buy it. He minted the Mulholland property. So the value is still counted as this 10,000 instead of what the actual value is of 180 UPX or 200. I think the floors will slowly start going up now that Detroit's settling in. But, you know, that adds a lot to my net worth. And so not only did that happen, but if I zoom all the way out here again, I had a video last week as well about my first Manhattan property and building on it and why I'm doing that. And that should almost be done, actually. Let's see. It's really, really, really close. And that's this property here, which I got a smoking deal on. Thank you again to the person who does not want to be named. And you can see there's an hour and a half left to build that one. So that's pretty cool. Let's demolish it. No, just kidding. I always, like, why do they have that demolish button so close to the... I know they'll probably confirm that you want to demolish it, but still that sometimes stresses me out. Like, no, don't demolish it. So anyway, I had a property up here in Riverdale, which is also a rare collection. I had 3 in here for a collection. In one of them, like I've mentioned before in other videos, sometimes I'll just look for really good deals. Was it that one? It might have been that one. I can't remember. I think so. And, again, I use this kind of data here. I know Riverdale and the Bronx really well because I did really well there and paid attention to it. So I know what prices have been. And you can see, yeah, if you use dollars, less. But the floor is around 194. You can see that's me. That's my property. And a little higher up here. So I had this one for sale. And it was a big property, bigger than most of these, for 179,000 UPIX, which was a smoking good deal for this collection. But I had only paid 130,000 for it. It was a great deal. I saw it on here. I bought it immediately once I saw it. But nobody was buying it because they're getting ready for Detroit. Everyone wanted to be liquid. People weren't paying attention to these kind of collections, even though I think there's some amazing opportunities right now on some of these collections. So someone asked for a trade, though, for that property, which I had for sale for 179,000 UPIX into, let's see, this property in Manhattan. So I have my second property in Manhattan now. And it's a big one, as you can see. And it's kind of cool. And someone else mentioned too, oh yeah, you can do full view. So again, something else I learned. So kind of cool to see that. But again, this, if we go to title, they bought it for 100,000, traded to me, and the floor in Manhattan is way more than 100,000. Well, it was. Let's see what it is now. Again, this site's pretty nice to use. If you go to 125, is kind of the floor right now. But those are for very small properties. And mine is 91. It's big. So to really find a property that's even close to that, there's 102. So that's actually, one of the bigger ones for 150 UPIX, and I saw some other ones in that area. They're all way more expensive than that, and it's in Manhattan, which I think will be a pretty valuable area going forward. I don't think, it's probably one of the most solid valued areas there is. So I was cool making that trade. I saved, 5% on sales fees when you trade, and then I got a cool property in Manhattan. So, and then other stuff I've been doing, like I'll just randomly look at different neighborhoods. I still like the Bronx. It's pretty cool. And I own a lot of properties in Throgs Next, just a standard collection. I can tell you right there. But there was one for sale for 11,000 yesterday, UPIX. I'm just like, that's crazy how cheap that is. The floor has dropped so much for a collection property in the Bronx for 11,000, so I bought that one. Same thing in Los Angeles. I was just looking around. Also, there's a property for sale for 6,000 UPIX, which is below the floor in Los Angeles. So I bought that one. So that's just kind of what I've been doing, is scrolling around, looking for good deals, and seeing what is available out there. Not just focusing all my effort on Detroit, because there's some really good deals out there right now. Because people are trying to get liquid for Detroit, and there isn't a whole lot of money. It seems like. Let's see, we can just go by UPIX to make this easier. 7,000's the floor. See, that floor is lowered a little bit now too. So hopefully things calm down. Stuff keeps selling some more. And we have some exciting stuff going on. But you can see here how many properties I have in Los Angeles. Most of these were all minted. So even if I don't sell them, I'm still getting, yield on them, making money. The same with here. A lot of these were minted, or ones I bought in collections and have been reselling. So we have still been reselling some of those and making some money there. But the two big hits on my net worth were the Manhattan trade, and then obviously the Mulholland trade. So those took a big hit on my net worth, and probably a couple 100,000 if you total them up together. And that's why my net worth is down lower than it was before. But still excited about Detroit. They'll announce their collections later this week. I'll keep working and see if I find any really good deals out there. Hopefully I can sell some of this stuff, before then as well, and get some of my money out, whether it becomes a collection or not. Grisho's been a little bit disappointing. I thought stuff would sell a little easier there, especially some of my named properties, which I have for sale. But have my giant supermarket there. But I still have sold one. I've still got some cool stuff here. So not the end of the world, but yeah, it's been fun, and we'll see what happens. And we'll have some more videos this week as more things go on with Detroit. All right, cool. Love to hear what's going on with you guys, how your Detroit release went, if you're doing other stuff besides Detroit, if you're making any trades. And love seeing the comments, likes, shares. Keep those coming. And we'll be back with a lot more coming up here soon.